Hello, YouTube. So, this is part three of the series on just nursing in general. And this part is about nurse practitioner boards. I'm going to give you guys tips on how to pass, what I did to pass, and honestly, just hope that these tools help you to pass your boards too. Um, and these tools actually work for anyone doing acute care, adult gero, as well as family, because I had a friend who was doing family parallel to me, but we studied the same exact things, but she studied family and I studied adult gero acute care. So a little background about me. I'm currently a acute care adult gerontology nurse practitioner practicing in an inpatient setting. So I work in a hospital as a hospitalist and I love my job. I've been doing that for about 1 year now. Prior to that, I did work as an ICU nurse for 6 years. So to begin, for me, I ended up graduating school, and I knew I wanted to pass my boards quickly so that I could start my new job. I applied for jobs, didn't get anything, even though at the time my current job had offered me a job, but I knew I was moving to another state, so I didn't take it. So I had applied for many jobs, but didn't hear anything back, and I think a big part of that was that I had not passed my boards yet, and I was not certified. So knowing that, I really wanted to get certified quickly. So I ended up studying hard for my boards for 2 weeks. Yes, you heard me, 2 weeks. I sold my house, moved to a whole nother state, did not have a job, but I just knew that I had favor and I knew God was going to take care of me, and it all worked out. So to begin, for me, the first thing, when I was in school, so I initially was on a more campus-based school, and then I ended up withdrawing from that school and going to an online school because the online school just worked better with my lifestyle. A lot of my friends had actually spoken down, more so nursing friends had spoken down on online schools, but I had met so many people at this school, and the people that I knew who graduated from that school for the most part and had passed their boards, they all got jobs almost immediately. So I was just feeling good about my decision. So my school, like I said, was primarily online. They did have board vitals for us that they paid for. It was part of our curriculum. We were required to do board vitals quizzes weekly, which was great. By the time I finished school, I would say I had finished probably close to 1,000 board vitals questions. Had I mastered them? No. I more so did them just to kind of pass with that week, but it was, definitely a great tool for my learning, and it did benefit me in passing the boards. The thing about board vitals is you take these questions and then they give you great rationales, and the rationales is really what will help you learn and retain the information. So just keeping that in mind, I had board vitals to start with. I honestly did a lot of research and just tried to figure out the best study material for me. One of my friends, she's actually a family nurse practitioner. She told me she did Fitzgerald. So when I went online, I did a lot of research. I found that Fitzgerald was going to be a great tool, not to mention they give you your money back if you do not pass the exam right away. So I paid for Fitzgerald. I actually did their online review because at the time it was just not feasible for me to try to fly to Chicago or Florida or somewhere. So I ended up paying for the online review. And over the course of 2 weeks, I started from the very beginning of that study guide. I printed it off, wrote along, listened to CDs. I started from the beginning and went all the way through the end. And I was so serious about listening. I actually would listen to the CDs on my way from work to work and on my way from work. If I went on a long car trip, I listened to the CDs throughout, and it helped so much. I would say I listened to each lesson at least 5 times, on top of going through the review study guide as I went through the lessons. In conjunction with that, as I would go through a section, I would also do corresponding board vitals questions. So if I was on cardiology, I was listening to Fitzgerald, going through his study guide, and doing board vitals questions along with it. And I did that for a total of 2 weeks. So in totality, I went through that study guide at least 3 times at minimum, just going through the pages. Like I said, there were times in my car where I would just listen to the CDs and I would not be going through the study guide, but I definitely went through Fitzgerald. When I finished the study guide, I paid for 2 of Fitzgerald's practice tests, and they were really amazing. You definitely get to see the areas where you're weak, and they recommend that you review those sections a little bit more. For example, for me, I was really, 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 really weak in hematology. When it came to iron studies, the iron labs, I did not know that well. And Fitzgerald let me know that. And it was actually great because when it came down to my test, I actually had at least 10 of those questions on my test. But at that point, I had studied it and reviewed it, so I felt great about answering those questions. After my 2 practice tests with Fitzgerald and reviews, I ended up paying for the ANCC's practice test. I think it was 2 of them that you got for a certain amount, and they were 100 questions, and those were amazing. And I actually did that a day before my test. And the thing is, the first time I took it, I was like, oh, this is pie. Like, I'm going to pass this test with flying colors. I failed both of those tests miserably, which was great because it allowed me, again, to see the areas where I was weak. So just to recap, for 2 weeks, I studied board vitals and Fitzgerald to the T. At the end of the 2 weeks, I would say maybe 3 days before my test, I did the 2 practice tests, studied my areas where I was weak. A day before my test, I did the ANCC practice test, and again, saw the areas where I was weak. And that tended to help. And honestly, I don't know how well I did on the test, but I can tell you guys it wasn't as bad as I thought it was because I was definitely better prepared. So Fitzgerald and board vitals and the ANCC practice test. I really hope this helps somebody. Praying you all pass. Praying that we can all just help this world make it a better place. Good luck. Please let me know if there's any questions that you have, and I'll be glad to answer them.